Good afternoon, everybody. This is OTC. I trade with Bear Bull Traders Community, and this is my trade recap on NIO. So before we jump into the trade, I was thinking that this stock out of the gate, the opening bell, was going to retrace down and make a move lower, so an opening range break to the downside. And the reason why is because although it got some analyst upgrades a few days back, day before yesterday, I believe it traded something like 363 million shares, and then the day prior to that it traded almost about the same amount. You can see here on this daily chart, this day before yesterday was 305 million. Yesterday was 364 million, and so it was pretty parabolic on the daily, right? So I thought this thing was going to make a move to the downside. Well, sure enough it did, but then the buyers came in and were trying to bring it back up to that new analyst price of 20.50. So first trade I made, I missed this move here, the opening range break, and so I was waiting for it to come up and test VWAP and test the 9 moving average. Here's the 1 minute, and so I took an entry here at VWAP, but came back a little more, hit that 15 EMA, and then came down, made a move. I did not take any position, thought it was going to come up and bounce again. Well, turns out that NIO is just a little too bullish still, so did not get that move. So here was my entry, and then I realized that okay, this guy might go up, but I saw this 50 SMA, took another little bounce down close to VWAP, and I went ahead and exited my position with, on that, I think it was a 1 cent loss to the amount of shares that I had. And so this was not a large position because I would have waited for a confirmation for it to hold the break of this level here, and then I would have added more to my shares to the downside on that, or waited for it to come down and pull back to that level, add here, and then for it to continue down. So I did not have full position in this entry, just my tier 1, as I like to call it, tier 1 entry. So it did come back, bounce around. This is where I got out, and then I noticed that it was not capable of getting over this level. The level 2 was also showing me a lot of orders to the downside on the bid, and I went ahead and took another entry. Let's zoom into that one. So let's scroll out and scroll in on this one here, and exited there. Saw this retrace on this pop is holding, so kind of saw this double top here form off of this candle. Higher volume to the downside, lower volume to the upside here. So higher volume down means this is a pullback. Got in for that short that I was thinking about on this candle, then sure enough came down, got partial here at the tinfoil line. This one was a premature partial, but they kept pushing up. I saw this push up, this push up, and this push up, and so I took another small partial there, and then realized it still had energy to the downside. So this was a low volume push up, but although we have a bearish candle there and a bearish doji here, the volume wasn't really increasing, so the sellers were really not completely in control. Turns out that these were all low volume moves to the downside, and then finally the exhaustive, and holding this previous day or a daily level. That's a daily level, holding this daily level, and on the last little pop after this exhaustive volume, indecision doji here, another indecision doji. I got all out of my position on that short, so it was in pretty good shape on the P&L up to that point. And then let's see, so that, let's take a look at what that was roughly. So in terms of the trade, I think I put this for the loss of that body of that same candle I entered on, and roughly 7R trade, or 7.5R. I'm not sure how many shares I had up to this point, but if you average it out with most of the partials in here, I'm pretty sure I took at least a 25 or 33% partial there, and then took another 10 or 20% partial here, and probably around a 5R trade. So pretty good trade, happy with that. So let's continue on with the next trade. So then that was here, right? So this is what we're looking at. Let's zoom in on the 5-minute. So this is the trade we're looking at there, and then it looks like I made another attempt to, what was this? To go, oh no, this was the last partial on that other trade. Then I made an attempt to go long on this candle because it had bottomed out here, right, on this daily level, as I noticed over here, and why I exited my entire position. So let's scroll over on the 1-minute, right? So here we are. So there's my final exit. Then it looks like I took another entry on a short to see if it would continue down, so it had pulled back. And I don't know what I missed or why I didn't enter it up here where I should have, but I saw this 3-bar continuation, entered, then got out all on this after the exhaustive volume, and sure enough it turned around. And then I took an entry as it broke and held the 20, and sure enough right after that you got the averages crossing over, so good entry there, and rode that guy up to here, added more once it was above VWAP. And then for some reason I was not happy with this average here, and probably looking at the SPY after getting in, and this was my max entry. This was just a partial entry, so tier 1, tier 2. So now my average is somewhere above, I think my average was somewhere around VWAP at that point, and so I went ahead and exited the position when I saw this thing starting to turn around, because the SPY was essentially pulling back. The SPY had hit a high and was pulling back as well. So I exited there and then tried another long in this one, wicked out here with the loss of this. So not a great sequence of trades there, and realized that didn't want to affect my P&L at that point, so I think I stopped trading it for a few minutes, let the price action develop. And sure enough, the next entry that I took was after, so let's scroll over a little bit. Yeah, so then it did manage to make, let's look at it over here on the 2 as well, on the 2-minute. We can zoom in on this portion here. So here's where we had that little mess of trades there, and then it did manage to make this big run up, right? And I saw that it had made that run up, didn't want to jump in, so now I was thinking, okay, where am I going to catch it for the reversal to the downside? So tried a few times, once, twice, I don't know, 3 times on a couple of those, took a couple partials, but I was trying to catch it for the rejection because it was pretty extended at that point. It was pretty extended on the 9 on the 5 over here. Yeah, you can see it here. So here already, which is in these circles that I just made, take those off, was already pretty extended on the 9 on the 5, so was looking for that reversal. So it got chopped out or chopped around a little bit there. I think I gave back most of my P&L at that point, and then continued to do that. I think I got negative even, or might have, I'm not sure. I don't look at the P&L while I'm trading. I don't look till the end of the day, and so today was a positive 10x on my goal, so really good day trading. But this was the winner. So this trade here, from here to here, I created a, what I like to call a set it and forget it trade. So I took a significant amount of position at that level on the bounce, because I saw on the level 2, I saw a wall. I don't remember how many, but there was probably 5 or 6 rows of this price here, 20, I think it was at 2050, that there were just stacks of 100 lots. So I was pretty sure that it wasn't going to break that level. So, and on that trade, I took a really tight stop loss. So for the break of this candle, caught it. I tried once in that candle, it didn't work, and that was the right place to take the trade, right? You can look here on the 2-minute. It's a doji to the downside, defended by, this is previous day, that black, that is previous day close, and then above it there's, if I put a solid red line versus a dotted red line, that is a weekly level. So really strong level there. So it had this big push to the upside, the exhaustive volume here, right? One exhaustive volume, still pushing, another exhaustive volume there, and then the volume started fading off, but it was making small candles. And then sure enough, that shooting star came in. I jumped in, and let's scroll out. So jumped in, let's scroll in on that and get our R calculator. Not really sure which one was the entry there. I think it was the middle one, but let's just put it about there. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, roughly a 10 or 12 hour trade on something like, I think it was something like 4,000 shares of this. So that made my day. That one trade put me above $1,000 in P&L, which I don't typically trade that many shares in one position, but I saw that stack against it and how hard it had run up already. So the move leading up to that, we'll look at it here on the 15-minute. The move leading up to that was, let's take a look. So I'm sorry, I hate it when I do that. Got to get better about not using the mouse wheel. So from here, 18, so basically $19 all the way to 2050. And then, as I mentioned, so for me to place a set it and forget it trade, it's because I am pretty sure that that thing is going to make the move that I'm thinking it's going to make. Sure, you're never guaranteed, but for one, it did not break this level here, right? It did not. overcome, have any candles close above the previous day close, and then I have a weekly level above it. And so sure enough, took that to the downside on one candle, and that made another move down. I mean, that could have been, what I say, 10. If I'd have set it for break of VWAP, that'd have been a 22 hour trade. But in that case, you got to be watching it to take that kind of trade, right, and have enough shares and cojones to watch it overcome this 50 SMA and through the averages and then through VWAP as well. So not a trade I would make, but this right here was an excellent move down, and I got all of it to the bounce of, and I actually set my order perfect because I walked away from this one. Very happy about that because I set my order to where I thought the 50 SMA on the 1 minute was going to get crossed by it, and sure enough, I still had a little more room, so I wasn't too aggressive because you can see here this came down still. I set to 1990. I think I set it to, well, I set it to 1993, and what I saw on the L2 was huge bids over here at this price as well. I think they were at 1990 and 1989, so there was a wall kind of like this, a wall of hundreds. So that's currently where it's at right now in the after hours trading, but you had a huge wall like such right here, right? So nice trade there. Then looks like I took a couple of attempts when I came back and found this trade after what, 1 hour, an hour and 30 minutes. I thought, okay, it might break up again and try to go reclaim the high a day, and was holding the 200 SMA on the 5. Took a couple of attempts at it. Oh, actually, I took a couple of attempts at it short here because I saw it was getting toppy, and I was thinking that this was not going to allow it, that it was going to bounce off this average and come down. So I tried a couple more shorts, and looks like I just barely missed that trade, right? But at that point, my stop losses were super tight. I was not about to give up big day in P&L, so missed out on that. Looks like that is all of the trades I took today. Yeah, there's the big move, and then there's those two stop outs. All of the trades I took on NIO, but as I mentioned, I thought this guy was gonna make a big move down, right? Because on the daily it has had a 3-day parabolic move, but EVs, upgrade, Robin Hooders, lot of people bullish on this stock. So that is my trade on NIO for today. Thanks guys for listening in, and look forward to sharing the next one. All right, bye bye.